Welcome to my next Stranger Things Season 4 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you aren't caught up to the point where I am every watch you're watching Stranger Things, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, Font, you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, I've already watched all the episodes thus far of Stranger Things. Looking forward to the fifth and final season of Stranger Things, which we now know will start coming out on November 26th. We'll have 4 episodes. December 25th, we'll have 3 episodes, and then on New Year's Eve, we will have the final episode, the finale of Stranger Things. So looking forward to that. Stranger Things is one of my all-time favorite TV shows of all time. It's definitely in my top 20. It's possible it's in the top 10. I'm not exactly sure where specifically it places, but one day I will figure that out coming soon. But I'm looking forward to that final season. So with all that said, this will be Stranger Things Season 4, Episode 5. The title of this episode is called The Nina Project. And this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. We start with Mike, Will, and Jonathan, who attempt to save Harmon from that gunshot wound. And Harmon insists that they need to warn Owens and that Eleven is in danger, uttering Nina before dying. Will notices a car following them and shouts to Argyle to get off the main road. Jack Sullivan and his men search the Byers household, and he finds Eleven's note for Mike. And he orders the wounded Walls to give up her location. 12 hours earlier, Owens and Eleven are dropped off at a door in the middle of a desert, which turns out to lead to an underground missile silo made to house Nina, a large machine. To Eleven's horror, she is approached by a scarred, Brenner, who actually survived the attack from the Demogorgon in a previous season, and he promises to help Eleven get her powers back. But Eleven is overwhelmed by her memories of his abuse, tries to run, but is sedated. Brenner promises that everything is going to be alright as she passes out. Having been returned to Kamchanka, Hopper is beaten by guards for escaping and dragged through an arena with a blood-soaked weapon on the ground. He is thrown in a cell with Dimitri and other prisoners, and then Dimitri explains that he was sold out by Yuri and convinces Hopper not to kill him. A restless Eddie Munson calls Dustin his supercom to ask for beer, and Nancy picks up, ignoring him, and when she notices Max has vanished from the basement, she and Dustin go upstairs to find her eating breakfast at the table, listening to Run Up That Hill and drawing what she saw in Vecna's lair. As she wonders how she got into his mind, Dustin muses that hiding from him for so long granted her access to his mind, and that the key to defeating him may lie in the drawings. Nancy realizes that Max is drawing the Creel house. Eleven awakens with a shaved head in Hawkins National Laboratory. Much to her horror, she travels the halls and finds herself back in the Rainbow Room with all of the children still alive and a younger version of herself in the mirror. Disoriented, she runs into a strange orderly who reminds her not to be late for lessons. She runs through another door only to end up back in the Rainbow Room with the orderly again. Eleven is revealed to be inside the Nina, which is a powerful sensory deprivation tank. Owens expresses worry that she may die, but Brenner insists she will survive. And then we have Jonathan, Will, Mike. They bury in Argyle. They bury Harmon's body in the backyard, or junkyard, I should say, while Argyle expresses horror at the situation until Jonathan tells him to go smoke. Mike expresses a regret to Will about how he handled his and Eleven's fight. Will agreeing that it is tough to say how you really feel, because what if they don't like the truth? Argyle tries to make a headstone with Harmon's pen, only for Mike to realize it does not work because it is a container for something. Finding a phone number inside as Russian guards clean out the human remains from the arena. Dimitri tries to get Hopper to help him bribe a guard, only to find him unresponsive. Hopper recounts his experiences mixing vast of Agent Orange and Vietnam War, musing that its effects on children of those affected marked by Sarah Hopper for death, but he had her anyway. After meeting Eleven and Joyce, he realized that he needed them, but by asking for Joyce to save him, he has marked her for death as well. He concludes that I wasn't cursed, I am the curse. Dimitri listens as a Demogorgon snarls from a gate behind the arena. Owen's men search Wayne Munson's trailer, noting a strong signal of energy coming from the fixture in the ceiling. They order him to leave the arena. At Chrissy Cunningham's funeral, Patrick hallucinates a grandfather clock. Jason pulls photos of the Hellfire Club from the school yearbook, proving Lucas St. Clair's involvement with them and concluding that they are hiding Eddie. Jason gives the group a list of all the locations the members have been at or seen at, and a teammate notices that he should add Rick Lipton's house, as two fishermen spotted someone inside despite Rick supposedly being in jail. Joyce and Murray have been tied up in Yuri's plane, who explains he is selling them out to provide for his mother. During the flight, Murray repeatedly requests to go to the bathroom, and Joyce realizes Yuri cannot hear them over the sound of the engine. She kicks a box of peanut butter jars until they shatter, and Murray grabs a shard of the broken jar with his foot to cut their binds with. 11 continually tries to escape, but always ends up back in the Rainbow Room with the orderly. Brenner contacts her over the intercom, explaining that the name of Nina is based on an opera of the same name about a woman whose lover was killed, so traumatized by the incident that she buried it in her memories. 11 realizes this. She is her own repressed memory and asks to be let out, but Brenner tells her she must find her own way out. The orderly then again approaches her, and this time 11 succumbs to the memory instead of running, allowing it to progress. Her memory of Brenner enters the room, and she and the other children follow him out. In the real world, Owens warns Brenner that Sullivan is closing in on them. And then we have Jonathan, Will, Mike, and Argyle call the number, only to find that it leads to a dial-up tone. Mike realizes that they are calling a computer, and they decide to seek help from Susie to figure out where they are calling. Jason, Patrick, and Andy investigate Rick's house, forcing Eddie to hide out in the boathouse and frantically call Dustin for help. And then we have the Nancy, Robin, Steve, Dustin, Lucas, the Max break into the Creel house. Max finds the grandfather clock from her visions. As the group explores the house and the duels, the lights on the ceiling flicker. Steve finds mummified black widow spiders under the floorboards, only to get spooked by a live one. He and Nancy share a moment together, as do Lucas and Max. The latter two notice the lights flickering in a pattern and begin following them throughout the house. Brenner tests the psychic abilities of 2 with a machine that lights up when energy is put into it. 11 goes next but fails despite her best efforts and realizes her hands are covered in blood. Everybody in the room vanishes and she walks down the hallway, now the day of the massacre. In the real world, 11 has a seizure inside Nina. Yuri catches a free Joyce trying to cut Murray's rope, and Murray frees his hands and fights him while Joyce gets his gun. Murray knocks him out, leaving no one able to fly the plane, and it crashes into the woods. And then we have Max, Lucas, Dustin, Robin, Nancy, Steve regroups and concludes that Vecna's presence is signified by the lights turning off their flashlights so they will turn on automatically when he is near and track his presence. They follow him up to the attic despite Dustin's protests. They find Vecna stationary under a light bulb, revealed to be the spot in the Upside Down where he connects to his tendrils and stalks the minds of people. As Jason notices the boathouse light, Eddie decides to go out on the water in hopes of escaping. Patrick hears the clock again, but is interrupted by Jason, and they catch Eddie trying to start the boat's motor. As they start to swim towards him, Eddie resorts to rowing away. Just before they can catch up to him, Patrick freezes and is pulled underwater by Vecna before shooting back into the air. And being killed. The flashlights in the light bulb explode as he dies, and his body plunges into the water as Jason and Eddie watch. 11 is she immediately tries to run through it, but is stopped again by the guards. She incapacitates them with her return powers. Brenner praises her for her progress as the door behind her opens, but wanting to regain her powers in full, she chooses to stay. Brenner addresses her as daughter, and she nods, taking his hand and walking back toward Nina, and that's what ends this episode of Stranger Things. So, interesting episode. I'm going to give it an 8.1 out of 10. My character of the episodes, well, I have a few. 11, L, Hopper, Murray Bauman, and maybe even Dr. Brenner. He had a little bit of a role in this, but it's good to see him back in the show. We thought he was dead, but he's not. So those are my thoughts on this episode. So you've heard everything that I had to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Stranger Things and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, or you're just really patiently waiting for the season 5 of Stranger Things, November 26th, make sure you Hulk smash that like button to help me out with that algorithm. Share the video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Stranger Things. Anything else that you want to add, any other predictions that you have, your score of this episode, your character or characters of the episode, and then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, help me get over 100k subs, join the team, Sugar Dam Support, and be a part of something special, and you never know what you're going to see on JDEV TV.